the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
Enra Oliver Baka Vomawo, a lead convener for Fix the Country movement, Enra Okudin Nsem-Pii, was Supreme Court. And Nsem Ketwa, or Jean Hubia Kasama Yesam Boneka to the tune of 10,000 cities. So, won't you? Emma, the plaintiff, Minister for National Security, Albert Kandapa. Na yenka ka ye ho kakra. Oliver Baka Vomawo ya brantie ya omo brenru bebia. Na oye na adwene se obedi politics ye chi. Na wa man disify ni yodum na se bi wadi nsem wo man yi mu. They was sorry, face the country, face the country, face the country, face the country. Now, of course, may him here and there. Say, na political party be nation in from. Now, Okocha Nsem-Pii, ne Facebook war, Kwakeka ku hunsem, ma yeso no muse kwa, ya ne ya charge no for treason, and a treason felony, ya wojina mreni mu eyi ne ho ano. Na, sa case no a ya charge no for treason and treason felony no. Ya granting the bill no and I was saying dimirika ebetra TV so ebeke kan Nsem-Pii for National Security Minister Yewra Albert Kandapa yedi kan Oliver Baka Vomawo emeki serious allegations say Yewra Albert Kandapa and in the cabinet ya a former national security eto omonsa frame e ma ne ba fie pa na chew sire ne se ombetuye sika bi diamant se de be ya ni activism ya onam face the country so ye no obejai sane se omo ahunu se ye ama aban yi aye unpopular na owo evidence to attest to the fact say Albert Kandapa and the national security operatives e friend and then ye face to face meeting and then the bargaining so ombetua this amount the amount it defeats the country movement no onyan Emwa na Yewra Albert Kandapa se debi abrantia wasi so a woso di atrobe yadwuma de me nso mema mredi na wo tabiri asem no ede ekodan the Accra High Court say Oliver Baka Vomawo emra bonten na emra ene ntintam na onkyere baby kura sa meeting ni koso ya no Albert Kandapa ene ne bagani yese betu yeska de amano amane face the country movement. Na se wan to me ankyere baby kro no assign meeting no course wo na wan to me ankyere evidence kyere se wo ka sansam no dia ene ye court monica 10 million cedis ye $1 million afi wo wi a eka bia no a ono Albert Kandapa abo court bia no Oliver Baka Vomawo court nhye no mane tua ebio court nhye no mane mpachew na sansam no a okokeka ye no onsanye den entwensan ya your friend defamation of character suit. Oliver Baka Vomawo and a lawyer Dr. Justice Nsem-Pii the Tariana White omo the Tariana White almost every time you omo the application ko to be a yebotugu esabo woka. Finally somewhere in January and omo ko file an application eseti questions maku dunson say High Court makwan na National Security Minister Yewra Albert Kandapa eme answer all these 17 questions or no Oliver Baka Vomawo and the lawyers accept because omugidi say ebra National Security Minister answer questions na enyoma any dead in this lawsuit. And Yewra Albert Kandapa to the lawyers also file an application objecting to Sansemuya, Dr. Justice Nsem-Pii, ya represent Oliver Baka Vomawo at the Abedan the High Court say, Emre bien no hono betumi a compel the National Security Minister to the whims and caprices of the defendant. High Court to kwasetra empanyampa omubo application ni tugui say enyina mraso say wo betumi atwe plaintiff say wo mra megina da kamu na wono answer wo questions a wasete diama debi. Oliver Baka Vomawo and the lawyer Dr. Justice Nsem-Pii anti-asemnasi omotabiri ediko the Supreme Court to seek for interpretation and then to compel the plaintiff Honorable Albert Kandapa Se still ya ome answer these 17 questions. Enti enra and Supreme Court trans ya nipa or preside over the case the Chief Justice herself, Justice Gertrude Tukonu, and other judges. No more transams. Or more transono. Send Musibua 75. After that, question Samakuma could do sooner. Oliver Bakavama was a chinchina. Yamma Quine Emma Urabe Kandapa and Sanso. Yet the bebre. Now, lawyers for Oliver Bakavama wanted the court to also determine whether the particular fact about these questions be disclosed by the minister, that is the plaintiff or respondent, to assist in the trial at the High Court. Dr. Justice Nsem-Pii, in his argument, quoted Order 23 of CI 47 to support his request that the Supreme Court compels the National Security Minister to also produce documents to support his answers to questions set for him by the defendant. Ordinarily, the Attorney General's Department should be representing the National Security Minister in court, as he declined to divulge information citing national security confidentiality and oath of secrecy. He argued that answering those questions would compromise his official duty and the supreme security of the state. Meanwhile, Mr. Albert Kandapa is being represented by a private attorney, Counsel Bright Ochiri Ajekum, now making his legal argument at the Supreme Court. He posited that the jurisdiction of the court, one, was not properly invoked by the appellant, that is Oliver Bakavamo. He also referenced Article 135 and argued that the appellant failed to reference specific official documents they wanted the court to compel the National Security Minister to produce. He further argued that the appellant filed an application for fact, but not for specific documents. He thus prayed the court to dismiss the application because the appellant is on a fishing expedition. The appellant has rounded up in fishing at the High Court and wants to fish further at the Apex Court, that is the Supreme Court. The appellant and his application should be dismissed. Article 135 of the 1992 Constitution is clear that application for the provision of official documents will be heard in chambers. Now, the panel who sat at the Supreme Court, according to the Chief Justice who presided over the case, took the decision to hear the matter in open court because there were no mention of specific official documents by the appellant. In the view of the court, the questions put to the National Security Minister by Oliver Bakavoma through his lawyers are questions thrown at large without date, time, and specific fact to be given. Chief Justice Gertrude Tukonu, in explaining the difficulty the court had with the application, pointed out that even if the court agreed and granted the application, it was going to be difficult in crafting the order, and inquired why the appellant came to the Supreme Court under Article 135 but failed to state the specific official documents they wanted to be disclosed by the respondent. The court further held that Article 135, the premise on which the appellant went to the Supreme Court, is not a tool for fishing, referencing the infamous Watergate controversy which ultimately resulted in the resignation of President Nixon of the United States. The panel of 5 judges pronounced that in that case, during which a similar article in the US was invoked, the appellant asked for specific tapes and recordings to be produced, something Oliver Barker-Vormawor and his lawyers failed to do. Delivering the ruling, Chief Justice Gertrude Tukonu said, after considering the application, the court sees no reference to identifiable document and no reference to a time frame. Hence, the application is deemed unsupported, unmerited, and dismissed. With this ruling, the defamation case at the High Court continues unabated without the National Security Minister answering those 17 questions. Into ruling na yamame Justice Gertrude Tukonu edeba abontene say application mo de bayi. And to me ankyere say document we and a fabra support to your answers to the 17 questions. 2, 17 questions that was set here. Timeline be any. Say answer we and answer we are me pay. E be free ha ekosi ha. And answer e wa ha any ha and I me pay free. No answer mo to 2 and you know sir without any parameters. Ain't you know application ayede ya bottle. Now we will say 17 questions be. And na Oliver Barker-Vormawor through the lawyer Dr. Justice Nsem-Pii as say Minister for National Security Yura Albert Kandapa Emeyi Yano. I mean kind questions. 1. Question number 1 was that the plaintiff is a member of the National Security. The Albert Kandapa admitted na provide evidence that the plaintiff is a member of the National Security. 1. 2. That the plaintiff attends the meetings of the National Security Council. 3. That the National Security Council did discuss the defendant, or no, Oliver Barker-Vormawor. 4. That the National Security Council did discuss the activities of the Fix the Country movement. 5. That the National Security Council did discuss the defendant's activities with the Fix the Country movement. 6. That the National Security Council did take a decision on how to handle, deal with, or treat the defendant, that is Oliver Barker-Vormawor. 7. That the National Security Council did take a decision on how to handle, deal with, or treat the Fix the Country movement. 8. That the National Security Council did consider the defendant as a threat to national security. 9. That the National Security Council did consider the activities of the Fix the Country movement as a threat to national security. 10. That the plaintiff did consider the defendant as a threat to national security. 11. That the plaintiff did consider the activities of the Fix the Country movement as a threat to national security. 12. That the National Security Council did require, direct, instruct, or expect the plaintiff to carry out its decision on the defendant. 13. That the National Security Council did require, direct, instruct, or expect the plaintiff to carry out its decision on the Fix the Country movement. 14. That the National Security Council did require, direct, instruct, or inspect the plaintiff to coordinate the carrying out of its decision on the Fix the Country movement. 16. That the plaintiff does work or perform its functions as the minister responsible for national security through the security and intelligence agencies. 17. That the plaintiff does work or perform his functions as the minister responsible for national security through the Ghana Police Service. Into way, the 17 questions. Yeah, Oliver Bakavon through the lawyer, Dr. Justice Seremsai, a certain man, National Security Minister, Robert Kandapa, such in or answer. Yeah, Nora, Supreme Court, a bonus what to go. Yeah, so I will do charges of 10,000 cedis against him. The Supreme Court say, High Court on San Transi, na defamation case or Montoaso.
Open body here pass me, I'm going to. Hi. Men cow here. Yeah. Kotoko, be say kosan boy. I'm boy. Hi. I'm the shamba. Hi. Men kind of here. Hi. Hi. Minister wa akama sanche Dr. Mahama. Come on, yes, I can money. Yeah, I'm young. Right. I was saying so. And you are working on your one piece. Yeah. Now, Minister, one piece that I mean, is it because Central? Right. Yeah. You go and patch your papa. Right. But everyone was saying, everything that's I don't do like. Yeah. Just benefit. Let me take it. You don't have any money, Papa. Yeah. Now you say yes, yeah. Right. You are not part of the friend. Easy. One will see you. But when you have Bogoso, start in your Bogoso. Right. Yeah. I said, we share. You may get so easy with your heart. Yeah. This is a brass system in the district. You catch a large student. Yeah. You book appointment. Okay, say, what you can get. Yeah. It's really a book appointment. I don't know. What we did now. Yeah. A bank crime. Maybe who come. Yeah. Many are so. And no other meeting, Dr. Baumia, Namakosem. Yeah. I'm not a politician. I'm not a deputy governor or Bank of Ghana. Now, Baumia said, the one you get a seer. Yeah. What's a demand? Dr. Polakwa. Dr. Polakwa, and I said, Dr. Baumia. Welcome to your feet. I'm not feeling what's any. But you said it one way. Yeah. As I said, it one way. Sir, Baumia, I want to say, over president. Yeah. You know, it's much as yet. Yeah. Now, outside from moon. Yeah. Then I only say by what moon. Fine. Well, welcome. Fine. I will move back to moon. Fine. And now our vice is a minister for education. Dr. Luchu. I'm looking for me and copy. Bantama. Fine. Bantama. Now, I know what separate copy. Yeah, and I was saying, not dead, and then the cop. Yeah. This year, only a walk with you. And yet, now we are saying, we are going to be a something. Yeah, and I don't think about the boy. I'm a good guess. I'll look me. Yeah. Now, I'm not a Pocasano. Ocassia, not for Anosia, Ocassia, not for you. Sabbath women. Yeah. Nana may dream, and Mara George Bush, Dick Cheney. What kind of check Cheney? Yeah. Nsem-Pii can if you banana and now. That's the Kenny. Say, I'll be your mom. Yeah. Every better so. Every. And I was smoking, and I know. Yeah. So, but only one answer. As I'm doing so. So, but so only one answer. As I'm doing so. It's been okay. I've been asking you only potatoes. And your reaction. Your reaction.
Say, yeah, vice president, what do you then you're walking, then you're okay. What's the prayer you be I'm finding? And you know, you will leave her. What's the